Hello, everybody. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome, Instagram. Welcome, everyone on Facebook and on YouTube and on the Facebook page. If you guys are just joining or whenever you are joining, I don't really know how the lives sometimes take place, if they throw you into wherever you are in the live or if you end up starting kind of at the beginning. But wherever you're joining from, say hi and let me know which city, because it's always very interesting to see how international this group can actually be. Hi, Costa. Hi, Deadlane. Hey, Onam Pierce. I feel like that's a Serena. I'm not sure who. Hi, Stefan. Nice to see you here. All right. So for those of you that are here who are joining me for the first time, I would just like to let you know what this is all about. This is a live chat session that I decided to do kind of once a month. I used to do them before, not as frequently. Usually it would be around an event that I was attending. And now, obviously, there are no events that I'm attending. So I'm at home and I still would like to connect with you. And I still know that there are plenty of questions. And eventually all of this stuff is going to go away and we're going to have a new normal life. And it would be good to have those questions answered so that we can, attack things with a head start instead of being stuck in the past type of thing, right? So for that reason, this is why I'm doing the live chats. Many of you, I always ask you for your questions in advance. One of the reasons I do that is because if you have joined me before, you know that I sometimes just start talking about something for quite some time and go quite in depth that I miss some of the messages that come up in chat. So I don't always have a chance to get to everyone's message or everyone's comment. And for that, I am very sorry in advance. So if you do ever have any questions that you would want to submit to me, you can always send me a private message. You can reply to the comments or anyway on any of my platforms, and I will do my best to make a note of that question and then answer it in a future live. So a couple more hellos. Inspire Dance Company. Hi, Winston. I'm still waiting for that video from Chicago Salsa Congress, my brother. Ozzy, Miriam, Yana, Jorge. All right, nice to see you. Chris from London, Benjamin from Orlando, Florida. Stefan is from Germany. Taekwon is from Oxford. Carolina, my love, from Romania. One of the organizers of the Transylvania Salsa Fest in Cluj, Romania, which I've only been to one, but a beautiful city, gorgeous, gorgeous city, and lovely organizers and a lovely event. Cannot wait to do that again. I know you guys are not doing it this year. I would have been there this year, but alas, here we are. Lior Segal from Israel, still in Israel, I believe. Everyone here in Instagram, let me know where you're from. Shoot me a message. Tell everybody where you're from. So just another thing is I am live on 3 different platforms. So if for whatever reason one of these cuts out, you can always catch me on the other one. I will, of course, trying to reconnect if there's any issues there. Yana, also from Germany. Winston, 20 years of DVDs. I'm still waiting. Magna Gopal from Kazakhstan, all the way from Kazakhstan. One of the most memorable trips I had taken, an incredibly ridiculously fun trip that I had with Ika and a few other lovely ladies over there. Wade from New York, my QFit and one of my very, very astute students. He's the perfect student. Eric from Dominican Republic. Saida in the house, Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken, Karishma. Manuel from Dallas, Texas. Oh, I love it. This is like one of my favorite parts is how international this group ends up becoming. So I always want to say thank you for that. So yes, Ika, you finally did catch a live. I do want to get into a couple of little updates or announcements in terms of what this is about and what's coming up. I'll mention them again later. But if you do have any questions, please, 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 keep a note of them and then write them in the comments so that I can see them. And there will be a time when I pause between the questions that I received in advance and attend to those questions as well. Inspire Dance Company, Istanbul misses you. Oh, I miss you guys too. Sizi özlüyorum. Sizi çok özlüyorum. And hey, David, All right. Hi, Chris, Saulo, everyone in the house. Okay, so a couple of little announcements before we get started is first of all, thank you for coming and joining and submitting your questions. In advance is always better, but just being here in general is good because I think conversation is how we get a chance to educate ourselves in matters that might not be of our prime importance or prime interest initially, right? So when we get into a conversation, all of a sudden we hear other people talking about things that we didn't realize were an issue, and then this is how we develop a deeper understanding. So it makes us a better person at the end of the day. So thank you for joining me for that journey and contributing to that journey. Second thing is, if you are on one of these platforms, especially on YouTube, please hit subscribe. It's a very simple little gesture of support to hit follow or subscribe. Not everyone has your conventional day job. For some of us who are content creators and instructors and artists, the audience that we have, the people that we have access to actually be able to share content like this or anything else is very important to us. So if you don't mind, of course, do that. Second thing is this Monday, I know we have talked about the fitness stuff that I was doing over the summer that I'm continuing to do, which is the QFit with Magna. That has been going on, wow, for 9 months now. Okay, 9 months. I can't believe that either. And if you would like to join the next edition, we're starting on Monday. So just a quick description of what QFit is. It is 3 times a week. We meet up. We do our circuit training on Mondays. Tuesdays, we have interval training for some cardio. And then Wednesdays, we have yogas. You get replays throughout the week. And then each week I renew the workout. So I'll come up with something different. And if you know how I am, you know how crazy and creative I can get sometimes. And you get to partake in that as well. And of course, the community, the QFit crew are awesome individuals. They are from around the world. They're all intelligent and insightful and compassionate and just beautiful. And for me to see whoever is in that QFit group on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning is like sometimes the highlight of my day. So if you would like to be a part of that, you can go to magnagopal.com/QFit. Just go to my website. In the menu, you can find the QFit with Magna, and you can register that starting on Monday. And another thing for a lot of you who are interested in taking online dance classes, of course, you know, I've got online courses, the on-demand stuff that you can always join at your own leisure and follow at your own pace. But there's also an upcoming course starting on November 16th. I messed that up yesterday. Actually, yesterday was a completely, like, I don't even know what was happening. Blue moon, was it the blue moon thingy? I don't know, but something where I was messing up my times and my dates and everything. So I had said that we were starting on November 14th, but actually we're starting next week, Monday, November 16th. Okay, so you have a week to 10 days to register. If you sign up for the Master Your Turns and Spins course before the end of this weekend, you will also get a free personalized review. So if that's something you want to work on, of course, you can always follow the courses that are on demand. But if you want that individual attention, because it's going to be a live course with replays, with review forms where you can submit your questions and I can answer them in the following class, but also where I am actually paying attention to you in the class. For anyone who's taken it, if you're in the comments, you can always throw in a comment and explain how, even when you guys are tiny little thumbnails, how I can see all the details in your movement and give you some tips for feedback and growth. So that's starting Monday, November 16th. And this week, at the end of this weekend, is the early bird. So there's that. All of that information can be found on my website, magnagopal.com. So let's get nice accessories. Magna also like the souvenir wall in the background. Thank you, Take One. This is my prized possession. I'm actually going to maybe make some kind of quiz or poll on this to see how many of you can guess accurately, or as close to accurate as possible, how many magnets I got up here. I will do a video. No, I shouldn't do a video. I should no, I can't take a picture either, can I? Because then you could count them and that would be cheating. I'll have to figure that one out. You guys should just take a guess. I'll show you like one square and then you can extrapolate what 12 of those squares would equal. A couple more hellos. Hi, Felicia, 350. I don't know. Hi, Mario from Mexico. Miss Hazel Green. Jason in the house. Billy. Maribel. Francisco. Paul. Oh, lots of people here. What do we got here? Long Beach, California. Realmente fructoso ambris. I'm pretty certain your name is not Realmente, or is it really? Ernie from Florida. Hi, Ernie. Yazanakis from, I don't know where you're from. Are you in Turkey? We met in Turkey. Maybe, I don't know where you're from. I will wait for you to tell me instead. Lala El Kedmir. Okay, cool. So let's get started with a couple of the questions that I had already received in advance. One of them, we're going to start very light because I do appreciate the deeper questions because that's a joy for me to actually talk about. But I like to, not go in there and hit you with a hammer across the head, right? So Wall of China of magnets, yes. Yazanakis is from Dubai. Awesome. All the way from the Middle East. Wicked. Okay, so Felicia, no. It's just one wall here. And James in the house as well. Oh, Abu Dhabi in the house too. Wow. I'm so happy to see all of you in here. This is awesome. And Wim from Belgium. Okay, focus, Magna. I've had this cold brew, which is incredibly strong. So why do I keep drinking it? It only makes me more hyper. Okay, so some of you have seen the recipes and food things I post all the time. I am a foodie at heart. I love food. Just looking at really good pictures of it makes me salivate. And I am very creative in, I guess, pretty much everything I do. So even with food, I have a tendency to just kind of be like, this smells good and that smells good. I wonder if they would taste good together, So I end up putting some really interesting concoctions. So my friend, student, QFit member Wade had asked, if you end up getting invited to a gathering and you have to make an appetizer, a main, and a dessert, what would they be? Oh, I don't know if any of you would be able to guess what I would make because I do post some of the same pictures. But for you, Wade, I would make guac. I make a pretty mean guacamole. And recently I just got a shit ton of avocados and I didn't know what to do with them. So I've been making guac. My guac recipe is jalapenos are like the secret ingredient for my guac recipe. That part makes it amazing. Then I would make a shrimp vodka pasta. The pasta itself doesn't really matter, although I did recently try red lentil pasta compared to your regular pasta, and that was quite delicious. Shrimp vodka pasta, which my secret ingredient to that is a lot of cheese. So if you're lactose intolerant, definitely not something for you to eat. If I make it at a party, don't eat that one. You're going to be in the toilet. And then finally, for dessert, I would be making Oreo balls. This is like one of the easiest desserts to make. It takes a little bit of time. And of course, you got to try to avoid eating all the Oreo stuff as you're making them. That's probably the greatest challenge. But the Oreo balls, all you do is crush them up, add some cream cheese to the mix. You can add peanut butter, which actually makes it quite delicious as well. Make little balls out of them and then put them in the freezer. Once they have solidified, then you can make a little chocolate topping, which involves coconut oil and any type of chocolate chip that you like. So I usually use white chocolate chips and sometimes peanut butter chocolate chips. Mix that all together, melt it in the microwave for 30 seconds to a minute. Once it's all soft, take your balls, dip them in there, take the balls out, put them in a plate and put them in the freezer again, and you're done. Super easy, super delicious, very addictive, very dangerous. I do not recommend that for anyone who is trying to stay off of sweets. Just saying. Wade, so I got your answer. Now you know what I'm bringing to your party if you're ever doing a potluck type of thing. Hi, Jimmy. Hi, Benjamin. Hi, Stephanie. Yeah. Cynthia, nice magnets. Thank you. Tamas from Hungary. Hello. Not my famous chocolate mousse. No, Wim, not my famous chocolate mousse. Not this time. Hi, Dr. Payne, Sean Mambo, Rome Estevez, Dwayne, Ariana. Hello. Okay, so Oh, I have questions here. This is pretty cool. Instagram gives you how to figure out my strengths with their useful. Oh, this is cool. On Instagram has a very interesting feature for questions. That's dope. I will go to that in a minute. Talk about wine tasting. Yes, that'll be next. Alex, also, I have one of your questions from the last one that I'm going to answer. And yes, Wim, dip your balls in the chocolate. All right. Yes, I said that. My Oreo balls. So calm down. All right. So moving on. My good friend David, my little munchkin, I call him my munchkin, had asked about marketing. How does one go about marketing online courses? This might not be relevant to everybody. This is not one of the deep philosophical topics that I have that we are going to get into shortly. But I know that there are a lot of us who are doing things online now when it comes to online courses, on-demand courses, or even live sessions, or even something like this as a live chat, live interviews and radio shows and whatnot. So my process for setting things up is the first thing, obviously, is to figure out what kind of content you are trying to create. And when you're creating your content, to understand what is the demand for it. Because there are a lot of people who are like, okay, cool, I want to do a radio show. Well, what's the demand for that? Are people looking to listen to music? Yeah, a lot of people are kind of missing that. So that's not a bad place to go. And when you're creating that content, one of the main things that ends up coming in as an obstacle is this idea that you're obviously not the only one thinking about creating that content, right? And most of the times there's already someone who's doing something out there already. So what do? Do you add yourself to that mix, or do you say, let me just let that person do it? And when it comes to something like that, I think it's really important for us to honor our own value and what we bring to the table and contribute that. Because everybody has their own reach. Everyone has a different reach. You would think that someone who's super, super famous has the reach of everybody that you could possibly yourself reach out to, but that's not always the case. There are many, many times that there are people who are super famous and you talk to somebody else about it and they're like, what? I don't even know who that is, right? So you have a special place in this world if you feel like you have something of value to bring to the table. And I thoroughly encourage everyone to do that, because you just never know what someone can bring, and your own experiences and your own reflections and how you are interpreting what life presents to you and what you've gained from it is yours, is uniquely yours. And there's always going to be someone who will benefit from that. Now, of course, when it comes to what you are offering, you need to figure out what the cost benefit analysis is of that, and decide whether you want to put in the effort based on your predicted rewards. Sometimes there's, if you're creating a course, for example, maybe you just have to record a little shine and then put it online and charge something for it. And the work that you put in is pretty minimal for what you could possibly get. And you might say, okay, great, that's an awesome reward, for the effort that I'm putting in. In other cases, something like even this live chat, it takes me a very long time to prep this. I have to shower and, wash my face, which obviously no one's doing when they're at home. Just joking. But for me to prep this live chat, there's an element of paying for StreamYard, which is an investment, to be able to broadcast on so many platforms. There is the pre-live where I'm trying to collect information from everybody. And this is not a paid thing, right? I do appreciate many of you who donate to support the cause. I'm always appreciative of that. I'll give you that information later. But the reward is different. It's not financial, it's not monetary. So you need to be able to assess that as well before you decide on what you want to offer, and assess what you are willing to accept as your transaction there, as the payment there. In some cases, it's a financial thing where you're hoping to make a certain amount of money from whatever it is you're investing. And in some cases, it's the reward of connecting with other people, or perhaps getting a greater reach, or perhaps getting more discussion, or perhaps getting more content for future things that you're creating. So that's another element that's quite important when it comes to creating content and creating online courses or online material that requires engagement. Then once you have that, once you've decided, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm willing to accept in exchange for the effort that I am going to put in, which you'll need to do some research on that as well. Then it's a matter of the kind of advertising assets, that you have to create. So for me, for example, I have multiple platforms. So I will try, obviously, to create a, digital flyer, which I can obviously share to Instagram, to Facebook, wherever, and also put on my website. If I can, and it's not too much effort on trying to find videos, I'll also create some sort of montage or something of whatever it is that I'm offering, so people have a visual reference in addition to just the flyer, which has all of your details of when, where, how much, how people can register. The visual reference, that's a video reference, would allow them to see it in action, if they don't know you especially. And then what I like to do also is usually just create a small little selfie live. And I swear to God, this is probably the hardest thing for me to do. Like, I have an easier time creating a flyer or anything like that and putting that information out there than I do recording a selfie. Like, for me to record a selfie and be like, hey guys, I will be doing this course on this day, it's like 20 takes before I actually post it. So again, this is part of the effort, right? Like, sometimes when we think about what gets put out there, we are not taking into account all of the time to create that one piece of content, right? And it's important when it comes to what we're doing to understand the effort that we put into it, because it's not always worth it. And that's something that's going to be decided and determined by you individually for each and everything that you're creating. For me, I like this. I personally love interacting with people. Those of you who have had a chance to take workshops with me, that at the end of the workshop, I'm usually sitting there talking to people, answering questions, and going through all these other things for like 30 minutes or an hour. And, goodness forbid that there's lunch right after my workshop, which then sometimes I end up with a bunch of people going and sitting and eating and talking. So I appreciate this. I enjoy this quite a bit. So this is worth it for me, right? Would I be able to do this every single week? I don't know if I would do that every week, but once a month, it's worth it. So take that time to figure out for yourself what is the effort that's involved, and mark your time, calculate that, like actually say, okay, right now I'm going to start at this time and I'm going to record a little video. How long does it take you to record that? Of course, eventually when you get more comfortable with it, it'll take you less time, but you need to mark that, because sometimes we think that 15-second video is 15 seconds. It's not. It took 30 minutes to record it, and then, write what we want to write and add links and all of that kind of stuff. So you need to be aware of the time that you're putting into something. Then obviously once you've got your media, then there's the copy, right? Marketing copy. What are you going to actually write for your sales page or your Instagram post or your Facebook post or whatever advertisement that you're doing? And that, again, you always want to tailor it to what you're trying to do, right? What are you offering and what need are you filling? Because it's great if you want to talk about how amazing you are, but that's not really the point. That's not why people are coming to you for whatever it is that you're offering. People are coming to you because they need something. And so you want to make sure you understand people's pain points, what they need, what they're looking for. And then that's what you want to focus on when you're creating your sales pages, and provide that information so they can understand how they can benefit, because that's what it's about. That's what service is about. Service is not about you. It's about your customer. Service is about your client, is the person in front of you. And then after that, of course, there's the other element of, again, something that needs to be tracked, and you can always block out time in your schedule to figure out how to attend to that. But there's always comments, there's always questions, there's always people wanting to know more, or have, how do I register? Where do I do this? So that also takes time, right? So you want to allot some time for that. And again, factor that in when it comes to your effort to reward. Cool. So that was from my munchkin. I know I don't think you're online right now, but anybody else who might be, thinking of promoting your own courses, this is a couple of steps that you can go through to figure that out. I might even try and create something that's a little bit more structured for all of you. Back to the hellos and from everywhere. Chris, Glenn, how are you feeling about politics right now? Oh man, I have, I will talk about that in a second. I have actually not really been following it this week because I don't want to experience a roller coaster of emotions with, the vote tallies and who's closer and who's going ahead. I'm going to kind of wait until this weekend before I go and look at any of that. There's a lot of crazy stress in the world. We can't obviously get away from it. We're affected by a lot of those things, but sometimes for the peace of mind and for being able to just push forward, you need to decide what you are spending your time on. And if there's something that you have already done your part, like in this case with this election in the United States, I have already submitted my vote. There's nothing else I can do right now. So for me to follow each day and each hour and be like, okay, what are the results now? What's happening now is only going to stress me out. And I don't need that. I would rather be here with all of you smiling and talking about other topics. Richie in the house, what's up? James, do you find diversifying content across platforms equally rewarding or do they differ? Hold on. I need to make a little screenshot of that because I have a feeling I'm going to forget about that. In terms of diversifying content across platforms, I kind of feel like sometimes I do, but not always. I usually put the same information on most platforms with possibly a little bit extra detail. So like on Instagram, I generally do like images, maybe short clips. YouTube, obviously you can find the longer stretch of things, but you don't find any images. You don't find really any posts. Facebook is where I would create more posts. Most of the time, the content itself, the topic is usually related, even if the content itself varies. So I actually do diversify a little bit, but maybe not on the topic, just the way that I'm presenting the content and the details that I'm providing on each platform, because obviously some are better for some things and other things. What else we got here? By the way, folks on your Instagram, whoever's here on Instagram, you can apparently click on the bottom and click that question mark and send me a comment there. It'll be easier for me to check that there. Back on Facebook, YouTube, Facebook page. Wade, glad you got it. Peter, hi, Peter. Alex again here from Rio de Janeiro. Sylvia from Basel. Medi, Wim, always amazed to hear you talk like this. You're like a guru. Oh, thank you. Wim, wait, so interesting. Such an interesting take. There's always good experience to gain through the process. Absolutely, 100%. And Yazanakis, amazing explaining on marketing. There is a subject from you came, which is how to turn no to yes in the social dancing and how to react on it. Excellent question. Let's actually talk about that then. So yesterday I went, Yesterday I had an interview with two of my old friends who I had started dancing with, Johnny and Andres from Salsa y Control in Boston. And they've got their own radio show now, Ritmo Salsero radio show. I think so. Yeah, right? Yeah. I hope so. Anyways, while we were talking, we ended up going into the topic of rejection because Johnny brought up the TED Talk that I had done on the benefits of rejection a few years ago. And someone had made a comment. I can't recall who made the comment, but he said, get to know quickly because that's when the negotiation starts. And of course, there was a lot of confusion around that, whether or not, you should be pushing after getting a no. And in certain contexts, yes, you don't really want to push after getting a no. Intimate, private context, probably not. No means no. However, in many other instances in life, conversations, other interactions, business transactions, the no is the beginning of the negotiation, right? And the reason it's the beginning of the negotiation is because one of the reasons we get a no isn't necessarily because someone is rejecting the request that we made. It could be the way we made the request, right? It could be a variation of that request. It could be their interpretation of the words that we used for that request, right? And so if we just take a no and we say, all right, well, I asked for this and they said no, so I guess they're not interested, we might be missing an opportunity. And of course, this takes a little bit of courage because the rejection itself is challenging to get through, right? The rejection, hearing that rejection requires us to not take it personally and then take a step out of that environment and say, okay, wait, what was my goal? What is my intention? Am I going into this interaction with something that I'd like to achieve? If so, what is that? And how many other ways are there for me to ask for that? Right. So when we do receive a no, one of the ways to look at it is to figure out how we can communicate better, right? How we can communicate in a different way that adapts our language to something that the person we are speaking to is trying to hear. Because one of our probably biggest issues is that we communicate for ourselves, right? We have a tendency to communicate and say things because of the way we are used to communicating. And we project our understanding, our experiences, our lessons that we've learned, our own judgments and biases onto other people. And so when we do that, when we project that, then we're not really trying to communicate with someone else. We are just expressing ourselves, right? When we're trying to communicate with someone else, we need to understand that there is another person on the other side of that. And the only way for us to really communicate, to connect, is to find out what they want, what they need, what they're looking for, what are their triggers, what are their biases, how do they see, what are their experiences, how do they see what we said, how could they view that differently, right? So that whole getting from a no to a yes is, in dance, it's something that I've used quite a bit. There are plenty of people who have said no to me, repeatedly, and I've still asked because my goal was to dance with them, and I realized that maybe if they said no right now, instead of looking at that no as a they said no to me forever, I prefer to compartmentalize that moment and say that they said no to me right now. They said no to this request at this moment. That's it. Instead of projecting into the future. And so by not projecting into the future, it becomes a little bit easier for me to say, if they said no now, maybe in 10 minutes, they might not say no. Or maybe the next time I see them, they might be more inclined, right? And so that's one of the ways to look at that whole rejection thing, especially as it applies to other aspects of life that are not, intimate and could be, turn into some kind of criminal issue or whatever. So aside from that, anything with business, anything with other interactions, anything with dancing, anything with like wanting to get something, that's one way to approach it is when you hear a rejection, instead of immediately taking it personally and backing down, maybe ask it in a different way, or try and clarify whether that rejection was in fact 100% no, I do not ever want to do this, or if that was a rejection that was actually, you know what, I'm just not interested right now, right? Yazanakis, I hope that helps answer that question a little bit more. Alex says, nowadays, given the pandemic, I can't even make a request. Yes, that's true. But we will get back there, I promise. Alex over here said, I never said no to a dance request. To talk a little bit about that, I used to also never say no. I was also a big people pleaser. Of course, I love the dance and I wanted to dance, but two, I really hated to make someone feel rejected. And sometimes it's you need to understand that they are going to take it the way they're going to take it. You could even give somebody a dance when you don't want to dance with them and give them a really terrible dance. And then now they have a bad opinion of the dance itself, even though that was not your intention. You were trying to be nice about it. But because you really didn't want to be there, now they have felt that vibe from you and they resent it even more. When it comes to the leader and the follower, women say no. I know that a lot of guys are like, yeah, as a leader, I never say no to anyone who asks me. But as a lead, generally you have more control over the dance, right? You have an opportunity to dictate exactly how much you're going to move, how many turns are going to happen, whether you're just going to dance in like a closed position, or if you're going to be doing boom, 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 whether you're going to be dancing together, connected, or whether you're going to just release your partner to do shines most of the time, right? And so, again, context-wise, you need to also understand who is doing the rejection, right? How much do they have to lose? How much control do they have in a situation? Because that might also determine why and how often they say yes or no. Right, Alex? Hi, Patricio. Where are you now, Patricio? I think you're in Argentina. I don't know. Farouk from Iran, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone else here, don't know where you're from. You guys are just joining. Welcome on Instagram. Hello again on Facebook, YouTube, and other Facebook. Janice from Aruba. Oh, Aruba. I wished I was there right now. Alex said, I remember that a famous teacher was sleeping in a chair after 10 hours teaching in a Congress. A girl woke him up and said, "You didn't dance with me." And he danced besides that. Exactly. This is my point, right? Like, there is a lack of empathy sometimes, right? And it's understandable. I understand, because most of us in life are going after what we want, right? We want to dance. We want to go out. We want to do this. We want this conversation. We want this person, this partner. We want that job. So if you are really, chasing life, then you're going to keep going after the things that you want. However, empathy allows us to look at what we are going after, and especially if it involves another person being a part of fulfilling that request or that goal that we have, empathy allows us to approach it with a little bit more softness. Empathy allows us to approach it in a way, again, going back to, if we really want a yes, do we want to ask somebody who looks like they're dead tired? Chances of us getting a no are probably higher. The fact that that teacher said yes is very generous and almost, what's the term? Sacrificial on his part. Because if I was sleeping for 10 hours, or if I was teaching for 10 hours and I fell asleep on a chair in a Congress, I am tired. The last thing I want to do is get up and dance. So I'm pretty certain that when he was dancing with that girl who said, "Well, you haven't danced with me yet," woke him up to tell him that, I'm pretty certain that he was not the most pleasant to dance with, even if he tried, even if he had all the intention of trying to be a good partner to her. He would have had some element inside of him that's like, one, I'm tired. Two, I can't believe the nerve of this person who woke me up to dance, right? So a little bit of empathy in how we approach, how we make our requests to other people would be very helpful, I believe. Janice, hopefully we can make it happen someday. Yes, I agree. I do hope so too. The next question that I got, well, not the next one. One of the questions that I got was from Alex, actually, from the last one. I think the last live chat, or maybe the one before that. And you asked, have you ever felt disrespected as a woman? Now that one is a challenging one. I personally can't say that I have been directly disrespected. I would say that there have been jokes that have been made, but the way I've tended to approach a lot of the things that happen has helped me in terms of whether I receive it as disrespect or if I just create banter out of it. So I think I mentioned this in a video, maybe one of my empowered videos on people's opinion, right? But I remember when some of the times that I'd go to congresses where there would be some guy, another artist, a male artist, who would look at me dressed in my whatever jeans and a nice shirt or something, and it's gala night, right? So everyone else is wearing dresses and all decked out. I'm not, obviously, because I'm there to dance, and I know that my dance style requires a certain level of comfort to be able to do all the things that I do. And a few occasions he had said, Magna, why don't you dress more like a woman? You could look at that as pretty disrespectful, right? And quite sexist as well. And my approach to that was to make a joke out of it, first of all, because sometimes I think when people say things that are mean, they are looking to elicit a reaction. When you give them that reaction, there's their reward, right? And so for me, I take pleasure in not giving people the expected reaction sometimes. And that's, for me, a communication challenge. That is a self-awareness challenge, reflection, a moment of reflection for myself, because I want to see if I can contain whatever I'm feeling, whatever I want to do to that person who kind of tried to insult me, if I can contain that and redirect it, maybe create a joke or do something like that, to send it back in a way that lightens everything that's happening. So when I was told this or asked this, why do I not, dress more like a woman? I was like, oh, I wasn't even aware that I was in the men's store when I bought this blouse. Like, how did I even get into the men's store? And it's weird that none of the sales reps were like, excuse me, miss, you're in the wrong department. So it just kind of made him feel a little silly for saying that, because obviously they're women's clothes. So I personally do take pleasure in being able to redirect those conversations. Other disrespect, Alex, if you want to be a little bit more specific with what kind of disrespect, I would be glad to answer that question as well. But in general, that's about as close as it's come. Anything else when it comes to people saying, I don't know, even making jokes or poking fun at me, I generally just don't take it personally. And I have a lot of self-deprecating humor anyways, where I'm making fun of myself half the time before anyone else has to make fun of me. So it's usually easy for me to let those things roll off my shoulder instead of making them personal and then sitting there and getting upset about it. Hope that helps, Alex. Erica from the West Coast, San Francisco. Great seeing you here. You haven't seen me here. Where's here? Now I'm not sure where here is. I'd be furious hearing that comment. So this is exactly what I mean, right? Like, we have this instant reaction most of the time. Erica said, I'd be furious hearing that comment if somebody said that. And yeah, that's that initial reaction, right? Where we're like, you know what, who the hell do you think you are telling me how I, right? And it's our choice. It's again, it takes more effort. It takes more effort to take a step back and not react emotionally. And that is what I look at all of those interactions as. They are, for me, opportunities to improve my ability to contain my instinctive reaction and transform that into something that's perhaps, we can start playing on an even level, or where at least at the very least I can walk away and kind of be like, and they did not get a chance to relish in their goal of trying to put me down, right? That's rude. You see, I see all these comments. Yazanaki says that's rude. Yeah, and it is. But again, it's how you want to receive it, right? And this I would like to say, comments like that and my ability to react to them increase my wit. Like, I'm faster now. I can think faster. I can come up with a comeback faster if I need to, or I can find other ways to interpret something that could be an insult. Find a way to look at it as a compliment. Like the same comment, I could be like, "Ooh, you think I wear men's clothes well too? Wow. So I can wear anything then, because I can wear women's clothes and men's clothes. Can you put on a dress and pull it off? Probably not." Right? So there's so many different ways. And these are those like nuances of communication that I think if we change our mindset and change our approach, we can get so much more growth, so much more personal growth, so much more breaking of barriers with other people, especially those who are with the intention of hurting us or insulting us or putting us down. And then ultimately, possibly creating relationships, right? You never know. Erica on Facebook said, "I was told by a dance instructor that one needs to look good to be successful. This is why I see you as a role model." Wait a minute. What are you saying? Are you saying that I don't look good and I'm successful and that's why I'm a role model? I don't know how to interpret that comment, but I think that our personalities combined with what we have to offer, our talent, our value offering, is what can make us successful, right? You don't have to be attractive, and also attraction and being attractive is a subjective thing at the end of the day. There are people out there who would look at me and be like, "Oh my God, she's perfect." And then there's other people who look at me and be like, "Ew, you think she's attractive? What?" So I'm not trying to please everybody. And it doesn't matter if I show up all decked out. Some people are like, "Wow, you look great." And other people are like, "Oh, I prefer, when people are just casual and in sweats. That's what's most attractive." So there's no point in trying to please everybody. And again, if you're trying to model different, maybe there are certain standards for the industry that you are modeling in. Again, even in modeling doesn't have to be just a certain type, right? We have plus size models, we have shaved head models, right? Like there's so many different interpretations of beauty that it's really about how you present yourself and what confidence you feel and how you can show that to the rest of the world. In terms of someone who's not modeling, that's not the case. But if you're creating, art, dance, you're teaching, you're a professor, you're a performer, or anything like that, well, then in those cases, it's about how you present, how you interact with people, and what is the value of what you're presenting, more than how you appear. Because there are a lot of people out there that I might not find attractive, but I respect them for what they do because they put out great content. They are good human beings. They interact with other people on a human level, and that's what matters. So yeah. Erica, I still want a clarification on that woman. Jorge, hola, hay personas que quisieran escucharte en español. Lo siento, un día si tengo una entrevista en línea, yo puedo hacer en español, pero para mí hablar en español inmediatamente y formar mis pensamientos en español es un poco difícil, especialmente cuando estoy hablando de las cosas que son muy importantes para mí. Lo siento, Jorge. Saul, save me a dance. Yes, sir. One day. Danny, hello from Belgium. Hi, back to Belgium. During a dance, have I ever felt disrespected? That's what you were asking, Alex. I think I answered that in the last one. The closest I ever got to. Okay, so let me actually talk about that real quick. And what is? Sorry, one second, folks. Okay. Alex clarified his question here about during a dance, have you ever felt disrespected? There have been times that, and my female dancers out there might be able to relate. Actually, even my male dancers should be able to relate to this, where I've danced with somebody and, there's been a graze, right? Like something, an elbow or something touched my chest or my butt or something like that. Now, I do not like to assume the worst of anybody. So I don't assume that they were trying to grope me on the dance floor. So I usually let that pass, right? If it happens by accident, especially if they're like, that nervous laughter, I'm like, okay, obviously that was not intentional. If it happens again, however, then in those cases, what I usually do is I call attention to it. I call attention to it verbally, vocally. I don't pretend. I don't like get bashful or like this, or start to create physical distance with that person, or start to assume. Again, I don't go into the assumption that that's their intention. Again, it could be an accident the second time. Who knows? Maybe I moved into things, because I've done that sometimes, where I've done some quick little turn and the guy's dancing and he's like this with his hands or whatever, and I come in and my chest is in his hands. Not his fault, just me turning really quickly and not realizing the distance between us. So I don't like to assume the worst of people. But in those situations where, let's say, something happens again or repeatedly, I like to vocalize it. I'm like, hey, you want to keep your hands to yourself? Because if not, I'm going to punch you in the, like, I make jokes out of it in a way that is clear that I'm noticing something that's happening. I don't like it. You probably don't want me to respond in the same way, because I'm not going to be gentle about it. And, you're crossing some lines. So it's setting my boundaries up to that person and being very clear, because now if it happens again, then we know that you're really not putting the effort into preventing it from happening. And then we can discuss that at that point. But generally speaking, it's usually accidental. And the times that I feel like it's happened, more than once or twice, my communication of that vocally out loud to that person has prevented it from happening any further, or has resulted in that person apologizing and saying, I'm so sorry, my bad, I'm not paying attention to my hands, or whatever. And then at that point, I like to say, okay, cool. If it happens again, then we got problems, and then we're going to fight. But if it doesn't, then at least I don't assume the worst there. Okay? All right. In Brazil, there is a page with complaints regarding sexual harassment on the dance floor. Wow. Not that I'm surprised that there is sexual harassment on the dance floor. Unfortunately, I wished I could be surprised about that, but I'm surprised that there is an entire page on that. That's pretty crazy. But I believe it. The dance is an art for many of us, especially for many of us who have been in the scene, in this dance for a while, and who have grown with this dance. It is an art form. And because of the fact that it is an art for some of us, but because of the fact that it is a physical dance between two people, where you're really breaking a lot of those physical barriers that you would not get a chance to break with anybody else in the outside world, unless you were a close friend, like family, or an intimate partner, right? So for many of us in this dance world who are especially just starting out, we have not experienced this level of physical contact with so many different people. And not only that, but if you have some sort of attraction to somebody, right? If you've got attraction to someone, you can actually be in their arms for 5 minutes, maybe 2 songs, 10 minutes, right? Like, you might not have been able to do that if you asked them on a date, because they're not interested in you like that, right? But on the dance floor, you can be with them physically on the dance floor, right? So dance breaks a lot of barriers, a lot of physical barriers. And for some of us, depending on our intention, it's possible to misconstrue that invitation, or misconstrue the acceptance of our invitation as interest. And the best thing you can do, again, is if you feel like someone is violating your space, you can work on your technique that allows you to create more space in a partner dance, at least with salsa, where you have shines, maybe not so much with like tango or something, right? But with salsa, you can break out into doing shines. So you can find your way to create space for the rest of that dance. You can vocalize it. But again, remember, when you do make something vocal and verbalize something to the other person, you got to be careful with how you say it, because you telling that person, hey, listen, don't grope me, is assuming that that was what that person was trying to do, right? And so now you are making a judgment call, and maybe they weren't trying to do that, right? And so you want to be careful with that. That's why I tend to lean towards joking. I find that humor and a little bit of wit and a little bit of, joking. I'm going to, hit you back. It's not going to feel good. Kind of breaks the ice, sets the boundaries, and allows both of us to not really have to worry about being judged in the process, and also can, keep us in a safe space. So yeah, that one's tough, but it's something that I think we're always going to struggle with in this dancing, because it is a physical dance. It's a physically connected dance, and not everyone knows how to react and how to work within that context. That's human nature. I mean, even people who are in the dancing for a long time, your intention changes for what you're looking for in that moment. You're going to act in line with your intentions. So if you like somebody, you're probably going to want to try and be a little closer to them, So yeah, we just have to be really clear on our intentions, and also try and make sure we're paying attention to our partner. Because again, it's not even about your intention of having an interest in somebody else. That's okay. You're allowed to have that. But the key is to either express that in some way or find out if that interest is mutual. If it's mutual, great, do whatever you want to do, right? But you don't want to force your interest on someone who's not interested. And that's takes a little bit more finesse, especially when you're not asking, are you interested in me? You're asking, would you like to dance, right? Whew. All right. Also, I talk quite fast. You know why? Because I'm trying to get through so many things in our chat. I always started it with this intention that we would do a 30-minute thing, and then it always ends up going way longer. Last time it was an hour and a half. So if you were here, I really, really appreciate you being here and sticking through it. A couple more hellos. Hi, Nabil from Morocco. Wicked. Wade. I don't know what you're laughing at here. Yazanakis said, it's all about the personality. It's not about the looks. It's about many things. Looks also matter. It's true. But the looks are going to matter to the person that is concerned with those types of looks. Not just looks, but that type of look. If I'm a booking agency, for example, right, and I'm looking for plus size models, I don't care if someone like Naomi Campbell, comes to me. I don't want her. She's gorgeous, but not for me. That's not what I'm looking for, right? So looks matter in their own way. We cannot discredit anything completely. That's the problem. Like sometimes we're like, no, looks are not important. Of course they are. They're important in their own way. They're important to what they make you feel primarily. If you feel beautiful when you put on makeup, then do you. But if you're doing it for other people to accept you, then you might not always get accepted. And how does that make you feel? Is that feeling of rejection, of ostracization, of people kind of like giving you a dirty look, is that worth it to you? So again, always start from the inside and then work your way out. My friends said, damn, my Rosetta level 2 Spanish understood you. Wicked. Erica in the house from Denver. Erica, are you still in Denver? And you know what? I was thinking of tagging you today. So I'm so happy to see you here. Like I was thinking of you and I was like, let me not. I forgot about it. Bien fluido en español. Gracias, Wade. Said your butt. How low does someone else's elbow go to touch your butt? Hey, I'm not that short. Also, there's hands, say. Andrea from Switzerland. Lovely to have you. Realmente fructoso hambre says, porque todos los salsa y bachata instructores piensan que tienen que hacer sus videos para vender sus clases con extremadamente hermosas mujeres y muchachos. Okay, so that question, why in salsa and bachata, why do all these instructors think that they have to sell their classes and videos, that they always have to have really beautiful men and women? Sex sells. I mean, unfortunately, that's the reality of media and marketing, and it is the reality because of media and marketing. Like this is the little catch-22, I guess, in our own lives is we think the things that we think are important are not always what we think are important. It's because society has told us. And as a result, we cater to it, and then we're like, well, why are we catering to it? We're catering to it because it's been told to us that it's important, right? So if you want masses, if you want that mass acceptance, sometimes you're going to go that route, but you don't have to. And again, if you are comfortable, do whatever you want to do. I don't want to sit here and judge anyone for their approach. Some people sell their salsa classes with, bikinis on and all that stuff. Do you feel comfortable in that? You've got a great body that you want to show off and you want to show how you move. Yeah. I mean, a naked body, you can obviously see, or a half naked body, you can obviously see all of the movements, right? Versus something like this. If I'm wearing something this loose, maybe you can't see what I'm doing, right? That's your choice. If you feel comfortable, if you do those things and then after you do them, you feel cheap about yourself, then maybe don't do that. Find a different way and question what you are providing. Are you providing something of value? Do you think you could provide that value without presenting yourself in this way? Again, it is your choice what you want to do. My approach has never been really to do that because I want a certain audience, and we need to understand the kind of people that we get are sometimes going to be, your randoms, and you can't really control. Again, you can't control who's attracted to what in life, right? But I don't want someone who's coming to me for my body. I don't want someone who's taking a class with me because they're like, okay, great. I can just like watch her dressed in nothing and like just watch her move. I want someone who comes to me because they want to learn. I want someone who comes to me who says she is great at technique and breaking things down. And I know I'll be able to see everything I need to see in her body to understand this movement better. That's why I'm coming to her. And so I don't want to present myself in a way that makes you think you're going to get something else from taking a class with me or from watching my videos. So that's why I do what I do, because I am looking for a certain type of audience. I don't want those other people who are just looking to watch a woman versus actually learn from one. Okay. Espero que yo, how do I say answered? I hope I responded. Respondí a tu comentario. Realmente fructoso, Ambris. All right. In the end, it depends where you're raised from. Often, yes. Erica Rembe, Erica said, there's a different, excuse me. There's a difference between sensuality versus sexuality in dance. Be respectful of that. Agreed. But so again, maybe I'm playing a little devil's advocate here. So forgive me for this one. But yes, there's a difference between sensuality and sexuality. But either of those things can exist. There's nothing wrong with either of those things existing, right? It just depends on how what we present interacts with the person we're presenting to and the environment within which we are presenting, right? So if I'm going to some black tie affair and I show up in a bra and panties, yeah, that's probably going to not be as respectful because there was a dress code. There was an expectation of a presentation of things, right? So me showing up like that is disrespectful of the code that was already mentioned to me in advance, which I clearly said, nah, throwing that out the window. I don't care. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, even if it offends other people, right? But if you're being super sexual on the dance floor and you're dancing with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, I mean, and you're in a corner and no one's paying attention to you, like, what does it matter, right? Like, people are like, oh, you shouldn't be sexual. What if two people are kissing? Is that okay if they're a couple, or even if they're not? Is that okay, or do we shun them from doing that too, right? So there are certain things that we need to keep in context, of course, right? Sexual, like grabbing somebody up and all that kind of stuff, would probably be not the most respectful way to engage on the dance floor. But if you're holding and you're like, really close with somebody and it looks sexual because of the nature of the relationship between two people, but they're not actually doing anything, and it's not offending anybody else, then I am not really someone who's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that because blah, 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 because I'm offended. Why am I offended, right? Couldn't I look somewhere else? Probably, right? So just my point on that. Gerardo, te amo. Gracias. Saludos desde el Caribe. Where? Which one? Still in Denver. Wade, has contestado. Bien, gracias. Alex, Gerardo, soy de Argentina. When you find your amazing talent. Thank you. To clarify, with someone with you don't know. Yeah, okay, I got you. I totally agree with that. All right, some people on Instagram, Chris Clan said some people are just bad communicators. Let me talk about that. I think that I don't want to say that people are bad communicators. Sometimes it's more a lack of awareness of how they're communicating. And it's also a projection of what we think good communication is, right? So there are people, for example, who speak very verbosely, right? Lots of big words and fancy, and maybe they've studied law, so their sentences are, really long with lots of commas and pauses, but never a period, right? There are people who communicate like that. If they were speaking amongst their own peers of other legal scholars or whatever, it would make total sense. They would be very, very quickly and very well understood. Speaking to someone like me, I'll be like, I'm sorry, you lost me, right? The reason you lost me is not because you're a bad communicator necessarily. It's just that your style of communication is not my style of communication. And so when we listen to someone who is communicating in a way that we're like, you just don't know how to communicate, we have an option of approaching them with a little bit of empathy, right? And a little bit of compassion and saying, okay, this is not how I would say this, but let me understand why you said it this way, right? If what they said was, and this is actually something I wanted to talk about, like, how do you receive negative communication? How do you receive negative reactions or negative anything, a comment, right? Or an attitude or a tone? How do you receive that? And one of the ways is to either you react to it, right? You react with anger, you react with anything like that, or you can try to understand where they're coming from, right? Sometimes people have an intention of hurting. Sometimes people don't have an intention of hurting, and that just ends up being the result. And so compassion for another person allows us to say, maybe they're triggered. Maybe there's something that upset them. Maybe they had a really bad day. And unlike me, who's had a great day, I am not stressed by anything. I'm not on the verge of breaking and snapping at anybody. Maybe they did have one of those days, right? A little bit of compassion towards them would allow me to then take a step back. And instead of reacting, instead of escalating that dialogue, which is only going to continue to trigger them, right? Because they're already upset. Instead of doing that, maybe I can diffuse the situation. Maybe I can try to clarify what their intention is. Maybe I can reframe and restate what it is I heard from them in a way that I'm hearing it. Like, ask them, was that an insult? And let them clarify. Maybe it isn't, right? But give them the opportunity. So in terms of bad communicators out there, yeah, bad communication is really dependent on what we think is good communication, right? What is torp in English? Clumsy talk. I don't even know what did I say, torp? What about guys getting too close, specifically when you started dancing? I think I answered that already, Chris Klein, but if I didn't, please feel free to send it again. Raul, that was also pretty good Spanish. Thank you. I did do an interview with a radio station / video station in Argentina, and we did an entire interview in Spanish. I was shocked. They actually had the interviewer was someone who I had met who had been studying English and was a translator now. And so they put him to interview me instead of the regular host, because they're like, just in case, let's let him, change the questions from Spanish to English and then interpret her answers from English to Spanish. And I did the entire 90 minutes in Spanish. Hi, Ivan. I know I have to send you videos. Calm down. You are also so good at yoga. I am still so good at yoga. That has not gone anywhere yet. Amin from Iran. Hello. Ahmed, all the way from Egypt. No worries about being late. You're never late. You're always right where you need to be. Thank you. Don't project the reaction. Exactly. Saida said. Indeed, ask further to understand. Empathy really goes a long way. Some comments from Instagram from Krishma and James. All right. Benny. Hi. I don't know where you're from, but hello. Manuel Pena. Hi. Okay. So, have you ever felt disrespected? Answered that one. Jose Luis in the house. Let's switch it up. What do you think the results? Oh my God. What do you think the results of the presidential election mean for dancers and artists in the US? All right. God damn. Okay, here we go. First, let me just say hello. Hi, Natalie from Greece. Do you plan to keep your online? And Alex, do you plan? Okay, Alex, I'm going to get to you in a second. Let's get to Jose's question, which is, what do you think that the results of the presidential election mean for dancers and artists in the US? I have not been, like I said, I've not been following the election results at the moment. So I'm going to wait until this weekend to then check in. I don't want to hear anything. Please don't tell me. Don't put it in the comments. I don't want to know. I am stress-free right now because I've given my vote, and that's all I can do right now, right? In terms of the presidential election, I think if we have another term of Trump, I think it's going to prevent a lot of work for dancers from the US to other countries, not just because of the COVID situation, not just because of the pandemic and the poor management, the mismanagement of the pandemic response here in the United States, but because of the lack of international cooperation that the United States has with other countries around the world under this administration. It has, pulled out of the Paris Accords, the Iran deal. There's just so many things that it's doing that are very, as Trump would say, America first. But it's not about everybody together working together to promote people. So I think other countries will probably put greater restrictions on travel for Americans, and that's going to obviously affect the motorcycles that are going around outside my house. I don't know what kind of car that is. Sounds like the Batmobile. But I think that's going to end up affecting our ability to travel freely. Like the borders that were very open to us when you have a US passport now might be closed. Now we might need visas. Already, if you look at some of the other countries, like if you're an American traveling to another country, especially in Europe, you have to quarantine, right? Like they do not trust us. Right, for going anywhere. And in addition to the pandemic, they will probably not trust this country very much. And why, again, most of the visa situations with other countries are on a basis of reciprocity, meaning that, we will give you free travel and you give us free travel. But if the US is sitting there and pushing other countries out, then what motive, what incentive rather do they have to extend a warm and open border to us? So if the administration goes back, if the administration continues for another 4 terms, then I think we are going to be a little bit, as you can say, SOL. We'll have to figure other ways to travel and to create connections around the world. If the Biden-Harris ticket wins, and we have them in the presidency, I think there will be a lot of changes, especially with international agreements with other countries, where I think we'll be able to rekindle those connections, reinstate a lot of those agreements, and we'll be on a better path. And I think we can also see a better response to this pandemic that will, again, give us a little bit more credibility on the international stage, and that will allow us, hopefully, some more travel or back to at least those open borders. I hope that answers your question, Jose. Thank you, as always, deep. Let me just, 1 second, folks. Oh, I also noticed that Instagram is not cutting me off after an hour. That's crazy. All right. Alex asked, do you plan to keep your online activities or courses on Zoom after the pandemic? I actually will. Yes, I will. And the reason I will is because I think there's a lot of things in during this pandemic that we never really thought about, right? Like, we know we have people around the world who will connect with us on our social media or meet with us at events, and are like, oh, I can't wait to take a class with you. I can't wait to learn with you. But we didn't really spend that much time thinking about how we can actually make that possible. And now the pandemic and the quarantine has forced us to create that kind of content that is accessible from wherever you are in the world. And I have always wanted to be able to connect with people around the world. I've always wanted to provide instruction and help other communities grow, especially when it comes to dance. But now, even with coaching, being able to help other communities, dance communities or whatnot, to grow and to improve their communication, improve their technique, all of that stuff. And so this is going to definitely be a platform that I don't intend to stop using. And I hope none of us do, really. I mean, once everything hopefully goes back to some kind of normal, something that resembles the normal that we had before, hopefully, we're able to actually do more in person and we don't get stuck with the online stuff and we're like, yeah, screw in-person, connection and communication. But I think we should keep putting things out, because this is a way for us to reach a greater, larger audience of people. And you never know who you're going to be able to help. You never know who you're going to leave an impact on. And this is a chance for us to do that with, many people around the world. So yeah, I'll be continuing it, Alex. Yazanakis said, well, a long time ago, I was left on the dance floor. I felt bad about it, but I forgot about that. Have you been left on the dance floor? Ooh, great question. I have, I'm trying to think. My memory is not the greatest now. There was a time that I remember dancing with this one guy, and I cannot remember if he left me on the dance floor or not, but he did have a lot of criticism for my dancing while we were dancing. So we had danced, I think it was in Italy, in Torino, in Italy. And we were dancing, and he had asked me to dance on one or on two. I said on two. So we started dancing on two, and I was doing all my footwork to the song. And then he stopped me. He's like, well, what do you dance on one or on two? I said, whatever you want. And he goes, okay, we'll dance on one. I said, okay, sure. So we started dancing. We're dancing on one. He's breaking on one at least. And I am doing my own thing with my feet. I'm still following 100% there wherever he needed me, but I'm doing my own thing with my feet. And then finally he stops me again. He's like, what do you prefer to dance on? And I was like, whatever you want. And he said, well, because you're not doing your timing, your basic on two or on one. And I was like, is it affecting what you're doing? And he's like, no, but that's not and I was like, if it's not affecting what you're doing, then why don't you just keep dancing? Right. And I don't remember if he walked off the dance floor at that moment or not. That part I cannot relate to you, but I do remember that we had that little interaction. All right. He did. Oh, okay. All right. Well, so just really quickly, there's still questions here that I did not get a chance to respond to. But if you do have any questions on Instagram or on Facebook or YouTube, let me know now. These last little minutes are going to be taking your questions versus answering the ones that I've written down. I've done that one already. And also just the updates again, QFit, the fitness thing that I'm doing live with a small private group is starting on Monday. Okay, so if you want to sign up for that, you can just go to my website, magnagopal.com/QFit. And Monday, November 16th, I'm doing a 2-week online intensive live sessions plus replays on mastering your turns and your spins. So I know everyone's like, oh, she's a spin queen. Well, here's your chance to learn directly from me and get instant feedback. And if you sign up for that before the end of this weekend, you get a free personalized review as well. So that actually is very useful. It's like a little private lesson, but significantly cheaper. So, and also you get it for free. And finally, two other things rather, is if you do want to show some support in any way at this time, as you know, all of us as artists have been struggling through this. We show up with big smiles and positive energy because you do not deserve to go through whatever it is that we're going through. You are here to learn, to communicate, to converse, to laugh, to share your stories, to ask questions. And that's what I'm here to do. However, if you are in a position to donate and to support, you can always send me Venmo, PayPal, or Zelle at Magna Gopal, or info at magnagopal.com for the PayPal. If you do want to send me something and you didn't catch that on Instagram or on Facebook or on YouTube, just send me a message on any of the social media platforms and I can provide that to you. Again, not obligatory. I'm going to do this anyways, but I know sometimes there are some of you who are like, I appreciate what you do, Magna. I am in a position to provide that extra support and I would love to support you because you do something good. So if you are in that position, I would very much appreciate that. And one last thing is the feedback. I am always interested in your feedback. The reason I'm interested in your feedback, again, is because this whole live chat thing, this communication, even though it looks one-sided because I'm the only one on the video, it's not. It is a two-directional conversation. We are working like this, okay? Which means that I would like to know if this is helpful to you. I would like to know what I could have done better. I would like to know what other questions you have that maybe you don't feel comfortable posting in the live chats and the comments, okay? The feedback form is the way that you can do that. So all you need to do is go to magnagopal.com/feedback. If you go to my website and you click on the little menu burger bar thingy, you will see there's a section for leave your feedback. You click on that and you'll see a form for the live chat. So if you want to share your thoughts, if it takes really no time and it helps me, know who was here, where you were from, and what you enjoyed, what lessons you took away from this. Again, the purpose of this is to be of service in some way or another to all of you, especially as we are going through a very difficult time, a very unique time, and that we might not all know how to get through it, and we're figuring it out together. Yeah. So your questions help me understand what you're struggling with. And in your questions, there's reflection on my part. How would I answer that? How would I deal with that? Maybe I never thought of it. And because you're asking, because you sent me some feedback, now all of a sudden I'm able to consider that as well, so I really appreciate that. And Marco Vasquez already sent me something. Thank you very much, Marco. I get the notification on my phone, but I don't know if you're here on Facebook or on YouTube or on Instagram, but thank you so much. As always, I think you already know, but my greatest joy, one of the reasons I am a teacher, is because of how I can help other people. Yes, there's fame. Yes, I've traveled. Yes, I've got to experience a lot of things which are huge perks. But the greatest joy, the greatest reward, the gratification comes from being able to help other people. That is where I feel my purpose is in this life. And so this is one of the ways that I can do that for you. And the more you participate with me and let me know what it is that you want and how I can help, the better I can be at helping. So again, if you want to contribute something, PayPal or Zelle, info at magnagopal.com, or Venmo at magnagopal. You can again send me a message. And please leave your feedback. magnagopal.com/feedback. Everything is on that website. And if you want to sign up for QFit, that's coming up on Monday. It is an excellent source of exercises and workouts that are going to challenge you. The crew, the community that's there online from around the world are super supportive and very determined. They make me keep going. And apparently I'm doing the same for them. That starts on Monday. And of course, if you want to master your turns and your spins, I will be starting that course on November 16th. What else do I have to say here? Don't forget to log on. Yes, Richie, I'll be there on Sunday. Greetings from Corpus Christi, Texas. Raquel, hello. And always enjoy hearing the live chats. Thank you. Please take a minute to fill out the feedback form if you can, if you don't mind. And well said, Yazanekis. Thank you. All right, folks. It has been virtual hugs to you too, James and Farouk, Elizabeth. So many people here. Hello, hello, everyone on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Thank you for joining me again. It's been another hour and a half live chat, but it's been fun. So don't forget magnagopal.com/feedback. Leave your input and leave your questions there, and I will do my best to take care of them next time. Until then, ciao, everyone.